Hey y'all, I'm going to do a real quick screen share and I hope you guys like it. I don't know why my mouse is not being particularly cooperative, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to do a real... So here we go. I need to make myself quiet here. So that was a fun bit of business that after talking to Constance Victoria Briggs about her latest project, she contacted me and asked me if I would like to possibly collaborate with her on her next endeavor. I'm not sure if this is a book or what, but I know she has in the process another book. Try and get my chat over here. But anyway, it was a lot of fun doing that. I absolutely love you gotta find the right icon on the side. Sorry. So yeah, here we are, another week. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturn Day. I hope everybody takes today off to have a little bit of fun, because that's what the 7th day of the week is all about. That day of rest, relaxation, reflection. Yeah. It is the 7th day of the week. Not the 6th, the 7th. So, I hope everybody did have a great week. Some things on the horizon for me, but I got like, oh, where is it? I had it on my arm. Oh, here it is. Thin set. So yeah, I'm doing renovation of my kitchen, and I kind of feel like, well, I needed to be able to afford to do some of these things because I had to call in a plumber to get things all connected up, because I was a week without water in my kitchen except for the cold water and ice that came out of the fridge. It's no sink, so there was nowhere to dump things out, no dishwasher, so it was kind of an expensive week. So yeah, so this is what I did kind of this morning with the thin set. It's glass, you can't really see, it's a lot of blue, it has a really cool translucent look. It doesn't probably come through on that. Then I was looking, it's like, yeah, that is actually going to look really good. It's just a backsplash behind the stove. So it's, like I said, doing things ourselves, I've not done that before. It took me a few months to kind of get up the idea of what I wanted to do, what it would take to do it. So I'm kind of going to stop for a couple of hours today, and I'm going to probably go out because I don't have, they give you like glass, like nippers, but really those are more for, I have stained glass equipment. I used to do stained glass, but the tiles are a lot thicker than the glass you would typically work with for doing stained glass, like basically twice. So I'm gonna have to go probably get a cutter and figure that out. I don't know if I'm gonna go to the local hardware. I don't think they have it. I'll check them out first and then go check out, always checking out the little guy first. If they don't have it, then, oh well, you know, which will bring us to another little thing about being independent, right? So being independent, and not going to the big box. Easier said than done because they've eliminated a lot of the mom and pop stores. So yeah. I did have to go to a big box store to get what I got because of just logistics, and I need to get this done. That's why it costs me more money to bring in a plumbing professional. I don't feel, I probably feel more comfortable doing something like copper, soldering copper, than what I would doing, working with PEX tube and the PVC. I don't like PVC. I think PVC is okay for water going out, like your gray water and your other water. But yeah, anyway, I digress. So one of the things that when I was looking at this, and I'm thinking about doing I go out at night, I hold my phone, which is just a really crappy old iPhone. It's like 4 or 5 years old. And I hold it above me and angle it towards the sky. And the images that I get, sometimes they're very plain. Other times I get these objects of light. Some of them are solid. And I noticed that several of them had these, and there's no way it's going to come out on this. So I'm thinking about putting together like a little, I don't know if it'll be a slideshow. I think I'm just going to use my video editor because the images seem to come out so much better. But it's not that my hand is moving, but things like that, that's, my hand wasn't moving. So you can see those stripes and that lighter kind of angled looking, you can kind of see they're two, they look like, to me, they look like tubes of light. This one you can see a little bit better. And they look like they're kind of superimposed on each other because you see this one over there, and there's one inside that, and then there's that, or it's behind it or in front of it or whatever it is. And you can see sometimes like the whole sky is full of them. And it really depends on whether there's clouds or whatever. I did have someone tell me that they are angelics. Sometimes I can rotate around and I'll take picture, which is what I did here. So I took a picture and then I'll rotate like, probably either 45 or 90 degrees to get a different angle on the sky. So you see, obviously that, whatever that is. And I'm angling, it's kind of like, really? It's the same spot. So it's kind of either on me or around me or behind me or wherever it is. But that happens often. And sometimes it'll just be like, I'll take a picture, and then take a second picture. So I'll do 2 here, and then I'll do 2 here. And these will be kind of like a, I don't know, like that color. And you notice the bright bit at the bottom. And then the next thing you know, it's that. What? So yeah, it's whatever is, kind of going on around us. That we're totally aware of. Awareness, right? So what came into my awareness? This was just, yeah, this came, oh, pardon me, into my head yesterday. Because I had a discussion with someone. I'm going to try and prop this up and I'll kind of read from it. So some of the things as to why people don't want to get outside their own paradigm or their BS, their belief system. So the idea is that when somebody says something or has beliefs in things, situations, I might be able to give a scenario in a second, but you don't have the same perspective or BS that they do. Remember, belief system, right? And they don't have the same as you, and you get some pushback that's unkind. You know, kind of like letting you know you're stupid, or so I'm kind of cagey on stuff, and I'll explain that too. So they'll give a pushback and say, well, that's really dumb if people want to believe in that, you know, as long as they're happy and not going to hurt anybody. I think there's two things going on here. So when I'll cover the why I don't let people know a lot of times what my personal beliefs are when I'm having conversations with them is because I want to know what they think and their perspective. So I try to put myself in their shoes. It's not up to me to change anybody's mind. You initially figure out where that person is and how movable they are. And if you don't see any movement in that person's beliefs, because I've already been told by many outside of this particular realm that I'm, full of brown stuff or just wackadoodle, delusional. It's all kinds of fun. So as I say, I'm pretty cagey about my own personal BS, and my eyes aren't brown though. But it's interesting that what they think is somebody else's ideas that are stupid or dumb. Sometimes most of the time it's because if they did give in to that other paradigm that is something acceptable about it is because it shakes their own foundation, and it's, I think it's fear-based personally. They don't want to let go of what they got, and then they get angry. So yeah, I got somebody, I kind of saw somebody going in that particular direction, and it was about the paranormal, about doing the Eaton Rapids thing, going down there and setting up my pyramid table. I asked a family member if they would like to share some of they do some beautiful clay work, ceramic, they're porcelain. Anyway, the whole thing is that I think it's a fear-based response, and they don't want to explore reasons as to why they believe what they believe. And we should be sure that we are realizing that for ourselves. Don't get angry. Don't get fearful. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Doesn't mean your perspectives or your BS is going to change, but maybe it will. You might be able to see how that is helpful to your own stability. Because I'll tell you, when I really felt like I got thrown under the bus, realizing all the stuff that had been going on. This was like in 2021, and yeah, I thought, before this, you say you get that rug pulled out from underneath you. It was like there wasn't even a floor. There wasn't even a floor under me. It was like a psychological free fall for about 6-8 months, and trying to maintain a certain level of decorum when you're trying to have a job that, you definitely need that. That's hard. That's really hard to do. So yeah, so, and keeping in mind, and this is also my personal way of growing, is listening to others spout off about why they don't believe in what somebody else is saying. And I'll use the paranormal, not believing in ghosts, not believing in God, not believing in spirit or spirituality. And that is their path. There you go. But don't cut down other people for their belief systems. Don't sit there and say that they're stupid or they're dumb. That's not a cool thing to do. But when someone does, it's not to be mean to that other person. It's almost like it's a self-defense mechanism, right? So there's no real desire to learn anything new or to try and understand why other people believe what they believe. Because ultimately, if you try to walk a mile in that person's shoes, that might mean you would have to start believing what they believe, which is not true. So you're believing what that other person says is not true. Oh, well, that's on you, man. All of a sudden you're kind of believing it, right? Especially when it comes to history, right? So history has been, wow, has that been messed with, right? And I think the other thing that's kind of important too is that knowledge that you have. Make sure that sword is sharpened with wisdom. Because I think we're all guilty of doing that. Because if we don't wield that sword of knowledge with wisdom, there's a good chance we might be lopping our own heads off. We'll do ourselves some pretty serious damage or whatever. I think that was all I had, because everything else was from like last week. So stick to your guns, so to speak. Metaphor, not advocating violence. So you can stick to your BS, always keeping in mind that there's a good chance you could be off on some mark at some place, at somewhere. So that's kind of funny that I had these out. So that was kind of, I like the artwork in this. She does some really pretty stuff. So for the upcoming week, and I know there's a lot of political stuff that's going to be going on right now. I'm going to take a little sip of coffee, so pardon me. I think I mentioned I was going to be in Eaton Rapids. That's in Michigan, not far from Lansing. There's a couple that is converting a hospital. Ran for 40 years, and they're converting it into a B&B. And it's a really cool old building. Looks like it might have been, who knows? Tartaria. Who knows how old this building is? It's probably 800 something, and then they put the one on it. Excuse me. Actually, some of them had an eye there, and they modified the eye, because I've seen images of old images where they'll have something there, and it's like, it's not doctor. You can tell several photographs that were very old, and then they have a contemporary one, and then it looks like somebody put a one there. Or if it had an eye there, and people will say, oh, it was established in 1846. It's like, that's not a one, that's an eye. Well, anyway, I'm going to do at least one oracle for wisdom. So I don't know these real well, so I'm going to pull a cheater today. Deep knowing. Yeah. That's intuition there. So yeah, so I think people when they hear the words like oracle, that kind of turns a lot of people off. They think it's hoodoo, but really an oracle is just it could be your inner oracle, which is just kind of tuning into your own intuition. That's not what the book says, but hey, what the heck? What does it say? All right. That's the faculty that allows you to enter into a dialogue with source, your consciousness that you're part of but cannot see with your naked eye. Right. And it is a natural capacity. It's something that we all have. And sometimes it's really difficult. I take that back. You know what? It's not difficult to listen. Sometimes it's just difficult to do. Well, this is cute. You're now invited into a sacred dialogue of deep knowing. Tune in and trust your vibes, and they will be right. So I will hear something in my wee little head, and it'll be like a really weird, it might be the name of a car, it might be just like a phrase in a song. And then the next thing you know, the stuff will start coming up in this 3D realm that kind of corroborates what that says. So maybe having something really difficult going on, and I'll get some kind of an affirmation with, you know, how to move forward. So listening to that, and not only that, I like serendipity. That's, to me, that's being flexible. That's being flexible. And that's also part of an intuitive aspect of who and what we are. I think that's very appropriate. We're going to really, really need that. We're going to have to trust a lot of the serendipity that goes on. Some of the changes that we're going to be seeing coming up. Opening up your heart and mind and being open to the idea that just because something was a so-called coincidence, whether you believe in them or not, it's still, that's a calls for pretty quick judgment. So tuning in as opposed to tuning out. I mean, what are they? That was some part of a 1960s thing about drop out and tune in or something like that. Like, don't drop out. I think we have to have, we're that bridge right now. We have to be straddling a few worlds at this point. We have to be on our game. One from this golden green. These are so cool. I love the artwork. Yeah. Look at her. Is she cool or what? All right. Yeah, my iPhone is giving me a warning that my iPhone is full. The storage has been full on that phone, I think, for like 2.5 years, and I'm not getting any more of my money. All right. Ha! Yeah, so who is she? She is very tuned into her intuition. She has good contact with her subconscious mind. What else does she have? So she's a teacher of sacred knowledge. A lot of secret knowledge. Spiritual enlightenment. So if you're open to doing that, and it's also about stretching your boundaries and understanding of who you are, letting go of what you've been taught and embracing what you know, and remembering that knowledge needs to be wielded with wisdom. Otherwise, you might be lopping off body parts that you could find useful later, or it would take time for you to reattach what you just severed. That could be in just about anything. Could be in a relationship, could be with skills that you once had. I mean, really good example for me was music. I inadvertently severed myself from that. And I'm in the process of reattaching some of that back into my life. So that's important. And doing things outside of my comfort zone. That tile job is definitely outside my comfort zone. I have to figure out how to get a glass cutter. I know they have tile cutters, and I don't know if it's going to be appropriate for glass, so I'm going to have to go talk to somebody. Because it's not going to be like cutting regular glass. It's going to be cutting glass tile. Oh, and they're not the big, because it's the mosaic. I want to make sure, me being me, that I get the right thing. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Please do check out hopefully I'll have something going up. In addition to this, I want to do something with those little lights that I'm constantly saying, and I can feel them sometimes too. It's like, oh, somebody's here, and I'll do a click, click, and yeah, sometimes they pop up. It's kind of fun. Never felt threatened by any of them, although one person did tell me at one point when they saw some of they were kind of tenderly looking, and I was like, meh. So then those they did say were probably not the most beneficial things to have around. So it's like, okay, then they're gone. Just because we don't feel fearful doesn't mean it isn't harmful. Anyway, everybody have a blessed and wonderful week. Here in the United States, we have Labor Day coming up on September. I couldn't even tell you what day that is. I will in a second. September 2nd. So September 2nd is Labor Day. And it's just kind of a day where everybody takes off and celebrates the fact of those who have a job, that they have a job. I guess. I don't know. Some banker thought it up somewhere, but anyway. All right. I don't know if I'm going to have anything relevant to say over on the other platforms. I'm still trying to get up the other half of the Divine Feminine Blast on BitChute, because oh my gosh, they limit you, I think, to like 2.5 gig, and like this well over 3, and that was like maybe not even 2/3 of the chat. So yep, everybody have a blessed week and enjoy whatever weather you got. And if you don't like the weather, you're either going to have to move, or you're going to have to learn how to manipulate it into something that you do like. I don't know. That's something to think about.